Matt, we got a big fight night card coming at us this weekend. A lot of people might not think that it's a big one, but this fight right here is in one of the busiest divisions in the UFC. And 2 years ago, you probably wouldn't have thought of that. And 2 years ago, you would have been thinking, hey, where's Ryan Benoit? When's he going to fight again? Well, it took him a lot of time, and he fought early this year, losing a split decision to Heidi Alatang. And it was a really close fight. Ryan Benoit, really heavy-handed guy, especially at flyweight. And he's taking on one of the more well-rounded guys in the division that a lot of people are probably sleeping on in Tyson Nam, a guy who has a big win over Ali Bagatinov in Fight Nights Global, a name that a lot of people might recognize in the UFC, where he challenged for the promotion's flyweight title against none other than Demetrius Johnson. First time, long time. But Tyson Nam, big fight there, has a fight against Salas Zhumagulov, who will we see him in the UFC anytime soon? I think we will. It's a shame that the card that was supposed to be this weekend from Kazakhstan, we didn't have him on that, or we did, but now we don't have him here. But Matt, Tyson Nam's one of those guys that got a pretty bad, luck of the draw his first two fights. Sergio Pettis and Kai Kara France, whereas Ryan Benoit took a lot of time off from his big win over Ashkan Mokhtarian, comes back, loses a split decision. Didn't really look like he lost a step. One of the smaller guys in a small division. What do you make of this one? Because for me, Benoit's very heavy-handed, and it takes him a lot of time to set up. And Tyson Nam is very busy, and he can get it done in a lot of different ways.
And that's really the fun thing about this fight, because Benoit does have the power advantage by quite a bit too. And it's not that Nam doesn't hit hard. It's just Benoit really loads up on all of his shots. So when he does land something big, usually someone goes down. But Nam, like you said, much busier. He's going to have the speed advantage, and he throws a lot more kicks too. Ryan Benoit has kicks in his arsenal. He throws really hard kicks. But again, he doesn't really lead his kicks into his punches and have those really crisp combos. And again, with Tyson Nam, we don't really know what we're going to get just because his level of competition so far in the UFC has been absurd. I mean, Sergio Pettis is probably the better of the two Pettis brothers at this point, which is kind of a crazy thing to say. And Kai Kara France, he's one of the bigger prospects in the division. I know he's lost, but he's still a really great fighter. I think Nam's going to be able to get it done just because you always want to favor kind of the busier guy, because unless Benoit does land that one big knockout punch, Nam's probably going to win rounds. And I do think they are going to be entertaining rounds. I do think this should be at least nominated for Fight of the Night. And I think it's going to be really interesting, though, just to see if Nam can kind of evade that power from Benoit and to see how long he can evade it. Because if they just kind of turn this into sort of a brawl, you have to favor Ryan Benoit at that point.
I don't know. I would actually favor Tyson Nam in this one, a much more precise type of guy so far where he's been in the UFC. Again, you could see a brawl, maybe you could, but I would definitely favor Tyson Nam in just about every aspect of the fight except for that power advantage that Ryan Benoit has. And that's a huge advantage in a division where we've started to see some really heavy hitters as well. I mean, you got Davison Figueiredo up there at the top knocking folks out. Now, in terms of the odds here, Matt, they're pretty darn close. They're just about pick'em odds. If I'm not mistaken, Ryan Benoit might be a minus 115, Tyson Nam minus 110, something like that. So flip a coin, you'll pick a winner. But out of 459 votes, the fans on Tapology are split as well. 56% predicting Tyson Nam to get the win, 81% predicting a decision. I'm going to agree with the fans in that respect. I think Tyson Nam is going to be able to get it done and get the win. And this is kind of maybe not the blueprint, but again, we talked about the precision of his striking. He can really get it done in a lot of different ways. He's 36 years old in this division. Now, you just had UC Formiga fighting in a tough one against Alex Perez, where 35 didn't look all that great. But I will say Tyson Nam, where he has had so many fights, he's had, 40 professional fights, insane. He looks like he hasn't really lost a step in the Kai Kara France fight and in the fight against Sergio Pettis. And you could disagree with me, but those are two really high-level fighters. Tyson Nam as well, not a terrible wrestler. So your final pick going with Ryan Benoit?
No. I do think Tyson Nam's going to get it done. I just think if it does turn into a brawl during the fight, that's going to kind of favor Benoit, especially if that brawl kind of lasts, 30, 45 seconds. Even if it goes into a minute and they start kind of having a bit of a slobber knocker, Benoit's going to have success in that type of fight. But unless he does land, those big shots, they're going to be able to put Tyson Nam down. Tyson Nam should be able to just kind of win round after round. And it should be an entertaining fight, but I think Nam by decision.
Going to both agree here and go with Tyson Nam, but Matt, really looking forward to this fight. There's a good chance this could be your fight of the night. You're not going to want to miss the rest of our predictions for the card. 2 minutes for the main card, 2 minutes for the prelims. Sometimes we go over 5 minutes for I and Calvillo. And Matt, as we always say with Fight Night picks, let's get into it.